Did you know that one Roman emperor burned Christians alive inside their own churches during Sunday service? In 303 AD, Emperor Diocletian had ruled Rome for 18 years, tolerating Christians throughout his reign. But on February 23rd, everything changed when he ordered the Great Persecution. It began in Nicomedia, where soldiers surrounded the cathedral during morning prayers. They barred the doors from outside and set the building ablaze with hundreds of worshippers trapped inside. The screams echoed through the city as families burned together. Diocletian had consulted oracles who blamed Christians for recent military defeats. First, he ordered all Christian scriptures confiscated and churches destroyed. Then came mass executions across the empire. Christians were thrown to lions, crucified along Roman roads, and burned alive in public squares. In the final phase, entire communities were herded into buildings and set on fire. Survivors were forced to watch their loved ones burn. Ironically, this last great persecution ended just before Constantine converted to Christianity. These were the final screams before Christianity conquered Rome. What if Spartacus had actually won his rebellion and captured Rome in 71 BC? The gladiator who started with just 73 slaves would have created history's first slave empire. Roman senators and patricians would find themselves in chains, forced to fight in the very arenas where they once cheered. The collapse would send shockwaves across the Mediterranean. Slaves in Greece, Egypt, and Gaul would rise up, inspired by Spartacus's impossible victory. Without Roman expansion, Christianity would develop completely differently, spreading through slave networks instead of imperial decree. Germanic tribes moving south would face freed slave armies, not disciplined legions. Latin would never dominate Europe, leaving dozens of local languages to flourish. Democracy might emerge from slave councils rather than patrician senates. Most shocking of all, this revolution could have prevented feudalism entirely. Instead of waiting 1500 years for social equality, the ancient world's most oppressed people would become its rulers. One successful rebellion could have rewritten the entire course of Western civilization. What if Attila the Hun had never died on his wedding night in 453? The Scourge of God was planning his greatest conquest yet, the Eastern Roman Empire. Without his sudden death, Hun cavalry would have thundered toward Constantinople within months. The Byzantine Empire would have fallen, ending Roman civilization 1,000 years early. Christianity would have developed completely differently without the Eastern Orthodox Church. Hun tribes wouldn't have dissolved after Attila's death, instead settling permanently across Europe. Germanic kingdoms would face constant Hun pressure, never expanding into their historical territories. Islam might never have reached Europe, blocked by Hun shamanism dominating the continent. Even the Mongol invasions would be impossible, with Hun descendants already controlling the steppes. The medieval period would see Hun successor kingdoms instead of Frankish and Byzantine empires. No Justinian, no reconquest of the West, no preservation of Roman law. Europe would be ruled by nomadic traditions for centuries. One wedding night changed everything. Attila's survival would have created a completely different world. Did you know that 1500 years ago, a Byzantine emperor created the world's first modern secret police force? In 535 AD, Emperor Justinian I established the logothetes of the Dromos. This wasn't just palace guards or informants. This was a complete surveillance state. Over 10,000 agents infiltrated every corner of the empire, from peasant villages to the Senate itself. Archaeologists have discovered underground interrogation chambers beneath Constantinople's Great Palace, complete with sophisticated torture devices and coded record-keeping systems. These agents pioneered techniques still used today, intercepting mail, bribing servants to spy on their masters, and even using religious confession to gather political intelligence. They maintained detailed files on every citizen's loyalty, personal behavior, and financial dealings. Nothing escaped their attention. The system was so effective it prevented major rebellions for over 200 years. Their methods became the blueprint for every secret police organization that followed, from Ivan Oprichniki to Stalin's KGB. One emperor's paranoia created the template for modern surveillance. Did you know that one Russian Tsar killed his own son and heir in a fit of rage? In 1581, Ivan IV, known as Ivan the Terrible, was already feared across Russia. He had created a secret police force that tortured thousands and destroyed entire cities. In Novgorod alone, he ordered the deaths of 60,000 civilians. But his worst moment came when he saw his pregnant daughter-in-law wearing what he considered inappropriate clothing. He struck her with his iron-tipped staff, causing her to miscarry. When his son Ivan Ivanovich rushed to defend his wife's honor, the Tsar exploded with fury. He raised the same bloody staff and brought it down on his son's skull again and again until his heir lay dying on the palace floor. As the young prince's blood pooled beneath him, Ivan realized what he had done. He had just killed his only competent heir, leaving Russia to his mentally disabled younger son. One moment of uncontrolled rage ended the Rurik dynasty forever.